We don't need validation from anybody. We don't need validation from society. We only need validation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين صدق الله العظيم وصدق مولانه النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك ومن الشاهدين ومن الشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. And then when you have decided on a course of action, put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who put their trust in Him. It is narrated in the hadith by Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu. The Prophet ﷺ said, may Allah cause to have freshness and brilliance the man who hears what I say and keeps it in mind and then conveys it to others. This is from Musnad Ahmad. So alhamdulillah, all of us, we have been blessed with intellect, we have been blessed with knowledge, we have been blessed with the ability to communicate with our brothers and sisters in society and in humanity. We also should have one quality which a lot of times people, they are lacking in. This is confidence and strength in our identity. Confidence and strength in being a Muslim. That none of us should feel fragile, none of us should feel a certain way about being a Muslim. The prophets who came before us, they were confident in their message. They were confident in who they were. And they were given this confidence. This was a God-given confidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed them with this confidence. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed each and every person sitting here with confidence and strength to be firm and feel good about being who you are, and to feel firm and confidence in being a Muslim. Now what happens is, a lot of times, people, they chip away at this confidence because they themselves have made themselves not so confident in themselves. So they want you to feel like them. They want you to feel as fragile as they feel, so that they are on an equal level. We always need to maintain confidence in our identity, maintain a high level of self-esteem. Look at our religion as our source of confidence, as our source of strength, and as our source of connection to all of humanity. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed us with so many gifts. Never feel like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has left you without anything. We don't need validation from anybody. We don't need validation from society. We only need validation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِن يَنْصُرْكُمُ اللَّهُ فَلَا غَالِبَ لَكُمْ وَإِن يَخْذُلْكُمْ فَمَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَنْصُرْكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps you believers, no one can overcome you. If He forsakes you, who else can help you? Believers should put their trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He takes care of us. Whatever needs we have, whether they're, social, whether they're psychosocial, whether they're physical needs like food, money, house, everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who takes care of us. Right now what's going on all over the world with the Muslims, all around the world, they have made the Muslims into this evil caricature, that a Muslim is evil. And every single time we meet somebody, we have to defend that, oh, I'm a Muslim. First of all, you have to defend yourself, and then you have to defend your religion. This should not be the case. We should not always be on the back foot, that always playing from the back foot. We should, we should not always be playing defense. We should play offense. And I'm not talking about attacking anybody. Play offense. Meaning we put out those great qualities which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed us with. The great characteristics. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. That the Prophet ﷺ, he had the best characteristics, he had the best mannerisms. We have all of those things in the palm of our hands. We should use these as an advantage to influence people by our Iman and our Islam. When an individual is overweight, it's not necessary to point this out. It's not necessary to tell them every single time you see them, hey, you're getting fatter and fatter. This is not the way we talk with people. Rather, you try to help them out. Hey, I'm going to the gym, you want to join me? I need a benching partner. You want to join me? I need somebody to talk to while I'm working out. You want to join me? This is how you encourage somebody to go to the gym. Not tell them, hey, go to the gym or hit the weights, you look like you're gaining too much weight. This is not how you talk to somebody. You talk with them with the tools Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. And He's giving you an intellect. If somebody is a little bit darker, everybody is always criticizing them. Oh, you're so dark, how will you get married? You're so dark, how will you meet somebody? You're so dark. This is not the characteristic of a person. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them their color. Whatever color they are, they should be happy with this color. They should feel proud of this color. We're not talking about pride of arrogance. We're talking about being proud, being happy in who you are. So anytime a Muslim is attacked because of their religion, they shouldn't go to the back foot. They shouldn't be like, oh, well, I have to defend myself. They're like, no, my Islam empowers me. My Islam makes me a better person. My Islam teaches me to be good to those around me. And then you can tell them about the hukuk, the rights of the neighbors. This is what my Islam teaches me. This is what my Islam teaches me. I can't go to sleep if my neighbor is hungry. This is not a proper Muslim. When somebody doesn't have money, or somebody doesn't have so much rank in society or power, when people meet him, he's really nice to them, he doesn't have any arrogance in him, nothing. And the same person over the course of a year, if he gets really rich, he becomes arrogant. He doesn't talk to his poor friends anymore. Right? His friends who drive a Toyota Camry are not his friends anymore. If you want to talk with me, you have to have a Mercedes, or you have to have the newest Mercedes. You have to have a nice Infiniti or something. I'm not going to talk to you. A lot of people are like this. And so a lot of people say that, oh, the money changed him. That's not the case. The money didn't change him. This person was always like this. This person was always like this. Now he's just exposed how he really was, or how she really was. Now you find out how this person always was. If a person doesn't have nice clothes, and they're ashamed to come in front of people, this shouldn't be the case. Come with whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. Wear the best that you have. This doesn't mean you break the bank to impress people. When you do this, you're showing off a side of you which isn't real. We have to be real in front of people. We have to show people who we really are. And this is why it goes back to the example of when somebody gets money, people are like, oh, well, the money changed him. No, he was always like this. You should have never been friends with this person. You should have kept your distance from this person, because he was never a pleasant person to be around from the get-go. He was never a pleasant person to be around from the get-go. Now he has exposed his true characteristics of how he actually thinks of you. He won't let you ride in his car. He won't talk to you in public. He won't even reply to your messages, because now he has to reply to these people who are much more wealthier than you, so he can keep up with the Joneses, so he can keep up with the Patels, the rich of the society or the well-known of the society, things like this. That, it's well known that, some of these names, like Patel comes from, that's my last name, Patel comes from a person who's like the head of a village or something like that. And people generally think, when they think of Patel, they think of a doctor or a person who owns a lot of businesses. But this name or this rank shouldn't change who you are. You should maintain yourself as you are. Even when a person acquires a lot of wealth, he shouldn't change who he hangs out with. There's some people I know that they're extremely wealthy, but they still hang out with their same friends they hung out with for the past 20 years. They haven't changed their gatherings. Even if they're invited to gatherings by people who are richer or more wealthier, they generally don't go. They're like, that's not really my vibe. That's really not really my group who I want to hang out with. I want to hang out with my friends. They kindly decline. They kindly reject. They don't insult that person. They don't put them down. Hey, you're rich people. You guys are ritzy. I'm not going to hang out with you guys. Kindly decline. So a lot of times what happens in society and in communities is, when people want notoriety, when people want to be respected, when people demand that, hey, you have to respect me, they make you prop them up even higher. This happens in communities, this happens in people, this happens in societies, this happens in organizations, this happens in masajid, this happens all over the place. There's this push that you have to recognize our entity. You have to recognize who we are. You have to recognize our logo. You have to recognize all of these things. Otherwise, we don't feel like we're being respected. Really, this is a sign of weakness. This is a sign of not being firm and confident in who you are. This is a sign of having low self-esteem. This is why I started off with saying, whoever you are, whatever background you come from, it doesn't make a difference. Be confident in who you are. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the way you are. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you what you have. And be thankful to Him for whatever He gave you. Be thankful to Him for whatever car you have. Be thankful to Him for whatever place you can live in. Don't look at the people above you. Look at the people below you. Look at what's happening right now all around the world with our brothers and sisters who don't even have a droplet of water to drink, who don't have a morsel of food to eat. So whenever anybody questions who you are, whenever anybody questions how sincere you are to Islam, they shouldn't be asking these questions. They shouldn't be asking you these questions. Now, if somebody's your friend and they're concerned about you, we take it like that. We don't think, hey, he's questioning me. We say, oh, he's worried about me. Now, publicly defaming somebody and saying, hey, can you stop being so proud of who you are and stuff like this isn't the right way to do things. We take care of things in private, on the side. We're nice to people. We take care of people. But when a public sin is being committed, when a sin is being committed publicly, then we have to make an address publicly, like, hey, can we avoid making the sin so public? Can we avoid doing these things? Like zina is an open sin now. That people have no problem committing adultery. People have no problem in, hanging out with women and acting promiscuous. Now we have to warn our communities. We have to warn the people around us that this is not something which is good. We cannot let people get confident in their sins. But we have to be confident in the good that we do. That if somebody is sitting on a street corner and reciting Quran to themselves privately, that he's just sitting there maybe doing some adhkar, reading some of the ayat that the Prophet ﷺ told us to recite at a certain time. And he's just sitting quietly, minding his own business, doing this. And somebody goes up to him, hey man, people are going to know you're Muslim. They're going to look down upon you. This is not the right thing to do. Rather, we leave him alone. He's doing something good. He's not bothering anybody. She's not bothering anybody. Leave them alone. And afterwards, when you meet them, be like, hey, look, that was a good act you were doing. Inshallah, I'm also going to try to do that. Like you were doing it. What happens? This person gets a little bit more confidence. They feel better about themselves now. That, hey, I was doing something good. Somebody saw it. I was doing it privately. I will continue, and other people are doing it now. And a lot of times we don't know the hikmah behind some of the small things that we do. I was listening. I've listened to the story many times. It's the story of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayh and the baker, and how he was traveling and he wanted to go to a certain locality, and as he was traveling, he stopped at a locality, stopped at a masjid, and he figured that, hey, I will pray my salah after Isha, I'll take some rest in the masjid, I'll pray Fajr, and then I'll leave. And so what happened is the caretaker of the masjid, the security guard, or whatever you want to call him, the hirasa, he said, hey man, you have to get out. He didn't know who Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal is. He didn't go out and say, hey, I'm Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, let me sleep here. Mind his own business. He's like, okay, that's fine. He went outside the masjid and he laid down on the steps. This is one of the greatest scholars of Islam. He didn't have a problem laying down on the steps. He lays down on the steps and the guy says, hey, you can't lay over here. And he basically drags him and he leaves him in the middle of the street. And so Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayhi is just like confused. He's like, what am I supposed to do? My plans were this. And so there was a baker who was sitting across inside of his bakery, breaking bread in the night. And so he goes to Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayhi and he says, hey, come take some rest in my bakery. It's warm, so you won't feel cold or anything like that. Come take some rest. I'm going to continue my baking all night, so you can take your rest here. And then you can pray Fajr, do whatever you need. So as he's baking the bread, he's continuously asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. He's doing istighfar, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. And Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayhi is like, he's perplexed. He's just a baker, and as he's doing his work, he's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. And he says, what is this act you're doing? He's like, oh, I'm baking bread. No. He's like, with your mouth, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. And he says, how long have you been doing it? He's like, I've always been doing this. And he says, what have you seen from this, doing this act? How has this changed? He's like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me whatever I asked for. aside from one thing. And Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah is like, what is that one thing? Because of my occupation, I can't leave. And I've always wanted to meet Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayh. So I used to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, can you make this meeting happen? It hasn't happened yet. I'm looking forward to it happening. And so Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayh says that even this dua of yours has been accepted. He says, how so? He says, I am Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought me to you. I didn't know this, I didn't expect this. And he was imagining he's going to go to sleep at the masjid, he's going to take his rest, and then in the morning he'll leave. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayh to the doorstep of the baker. And this man was so sincere. He was so sincere in his asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. It doesn't matter, he didn't get this one meeting. He was still hoping. He was still asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it happen. And then Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, throughout the course of this whole situation which happens with him, one of the greatest scholars of all times, not once did he put his name out there. He didn't say it to the security guard. He didn't say it to this baker, that I'm Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, how am I being treated? Tell the security guard to let me sleep in the masjid. Not once did he do that. He was confident in who he is. He was confident in the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he didn't need validation from anybody. Because he realized and acknowledged the gifts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him, and he said, whatever my fate is, I will take it. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq, may He give us a better understanding, may He protect us, may He forgive us, and may He give us the confidence that we may be confident Muslims in society. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.